I'm Elizabeth Machuca, and you are watching the Huntsville Huddle. Today we have Ryan Humphreys, a former Bearcat receiver and podcast host for Walk On Radio. Ryan, I heard that you played football even before college. How was that in high school?
Well, I'm from Silver Springs, Texas. It's where I grew up, and I've been playing football since I was probably 6 or 7. But yeah, high school football, played quarterback. That was a really neat experience, and then got the opportunity to come here and start my collegiate football career. Okay,
was it something like as a little kid you always wanted to play football?
Yeah, absolutely. I dreamed about playing, you know, at a big time Division I college, and when I got that opportunity out of high school, I was ecstatic, because that was something that I always wanted to do.
Okay, so whenever you first started playing out in high school, how was it? Like, what were you like? Were you the top player in high school, or what was it?
Well, I was, I went to I'm from a smaller town. I was a starting quarterback from my high school, so I was a good player, but I was a little smaller for a quarterback, and so my opportunities were kind of all across the board. I was a pretty good baseball player, so I had opportunities with that as well, but really wanted to play football, and Sam Houston offered me the opportunity to come and walk on here as a preferred walk-on, and like I said, I dreamed about playing Division I college football, and so really I just needed the opportunity.
Okay. So what were some differences from like a high school level to a collegiate level?
Well, first of all, I mean the level of the people you're playing against are certainly different in high school from college. High school, the game is slower. You can kind of process everything a little faster, and when you get to college, obviously everyone's really good, and everything's coming at you a little faster, a little harder. So it's certainly night and day difference.
Okay, so what were some things that you had to overcome whenever you did that, like more specifically?
Well, of course, I said that I walked on to Sam Houston, and so that was a challenge in itself. Obviously, you go from, like I said, I was a starting quarterback at my high school, so I'm kind of top of the totem pole, and then you walk on at a big-time Division I football program, I'm certainly at the bottom of the totem pole. So working my way out of that and just trying to get my name out there and make plays and kind of make a good lasting impression. I was able to do so, and I thankfully earned an athletic scholarship a year after I got to Sam Houston and through the rest of my career. So that was something that I'm really proud of, and looking back at it, it's really neat that was my path to get to where I'm at.
Okay, so whenever you were a walk-on, what were some things overall, you said you had to face some difficulties being from the bottom. How did you reach to the top level that you wanted to be at?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest piece of advice to anybody that chooses that path is you got to do whatever you can to get noticed. You got to, that's being excited about being a scout team football player. Nobody wants to be a scout team football player. Everybody wants to be a starter, but my Super Bowl each week was giving the best look that I could give to the starting defense. I was a scout team quarterback, and so my goal every day was to be the best that I can be so that they can be the best that they can be, and that went a long way. And then of course, I busted my tail in the weight room and learning the playbook and just being a good teammate, and after a while that obviously paid off.
How long did it take you to get out of the scout team?
Just, 1 season. I redshirted my freshman year, and then after that I played for three whole seasons after that.
Okay, yep. Alrighty then.
Yep.
What were overall some difficulties that you had to come from the scout team to that point?
Well, it was just, I mean, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but being a walk-on, it's just tough. Especially when your competition, the people you're up against to get playing time. I mean, they're your teammates, so everyone is family, but they're on scholarship and you're a walk-on, so you're just viewed a little differently. But like I said, you have to do what you can to get noticed, and that paid off.
Okay.
That paid off.
So from the point, is it easier for you to give up, or is it more easier to keep going in it, or What was the easy part about that?
Yeah, I would definitely say, so I always tell this story because it interests me, but so when I was at Sulphur Springs in high school, growing up, we had a lot of players that went on to play Division I sports. And, you know, they would play for a year or two and then come back and quit, basically. Quit where they were at. Texas, Arkansas, Auburn, all these big schools. And I always wondered, you know, golly, like those guys, they're at the top of the college football world, college athletics world. How could they give that up? How could they quit? And I didn't understand as a kid. But then when I got to college and kind of lived that life, I could see the appeal to quit because it's hard. A lot of people think that, you know, college athletics is just what you're doing on game day, and that's the gist of it, and that couldn't be more wrong. You know, college athletics is what's going on Monday through Friday, 12 months a year, and that's the challenging part. So just the grind of waking up and going to workouts and going to practice and then having film and then having meetings and all of that. And you said that the toughest part as a walk-on, do all of that, do the exact same stuff that everyone else is doing, but not really get any type of recognition for it. So
what was your motivation through it all?
I wanted to make it. My goal as a kid was to play for a championship program at the Division I level one day. And I was, like I said, all I needed was an opportunity. I was going to make that happen. So that was my motivation to keep doing it.
Alrighty, that's awesome. Yep. So as a freshman, you did a 60-yard pass. Walk me through that. Yeah, so that was my redshirt year.
Last game of the season, they so again, I was scout team quarterback that year. I did really well, and so the last game of the season, they wanted me to help or play in a trick play for our game against Houston Baptist. It was a backward screen pass to me. And then I threw it downfield and threw a touchdown on my first collegiate snap. So that was a pretty cool moment. Obviously, that's an all-timer. I would probably say very few people ever that have thrown a touchdown on their first collegiate snap ever.
So you felt like on top of the world at that point, huh?
Yes, that was a. You know, at that point, obviously, I had bigger goals. I wanted to be more a part of the team and playing some bigger games. But at that point, it was like, wow, like, man, a lot of the hard work that I've done was worth it just to experience that 10-second play. Yeah.
All right. So you were like from the scout teams to a quarterback to a wide receiver. How was that?
You know, it brought challenges being a quarterback my whole life, moving to receiver, and you know, when I moved to receiver, I also played a lot of special teams, just punt return, kick return, punt, kickoff, all these different facets of the game that I had never played, and so that brought a challenge in itself. I was basically having to learn all these new positions at the Division I collegiate level, and like I said earlier, high school and college are night and day different, and so it was tough. But like I said, I'm a hard worker, and I wanted to make it work, so I made it work.
There you go. Yep. And you remember the 2020 championship, right?
That was a big deal, I hear.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, you obviously have like a nice ring for it.
Right.
So walk us through that year.
Well, you know, that year was certainly unique, the first of its kind in the sense that we played our full season in the spring. Matter of fact, the first game of that season was a year ago yesterday, and so really just reminiscing on that entire experience is something that happens frequently because of how important it was. I mean, I'll catch myself just thinking, golly, we're so lucky to have been a part of that. And just the challenges that went into it with COVID and it being in the spring and all the outside of football factors makes the football that much more special and what we were able to accomplish.
Did you ever think that y'all were going to make it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I always root for our guys, and I always think we can do it. But it really hit me, I think the second game of that season, we beat Nichols, who was top 10 team in the country. We beat them 71-17, and at that moment, I was like, okay, we have something special here. And so we go undefeated throughout the rest of that regular season, get to the playoffs. We beat Monmouth in a really close one. Then we played the 8 out of 9 time defending national champion North Dakota State Bison. We beat them. In the semifinals, we go on to play James Madison. We're down 21 points at halftime. Come back in the second half and beat them. That's my favorite game, not in the national championship. But then fast forward, a week later, national championship, crazy rain. Obviously, if you were there, it was just horrible weather. I always joke that the weather, I would have hated the weather if we lost, because I would always thought, golly, you know, what if we would have had good weather? But since we won it, kind of makes it a cool story that it was just terrible weather. I mean, nothing about it was good. We had an hour and a half lightning delay. Just there's so many things that go into it that make the story, the grand scheme of the thing, it just makes it so special. And
then, like, through it all, like, y'all still made it, so that is awesome part about it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something, our message the night before, and it says it on the inside of the ring, is immortality, and being a part of something that will truly last forever for this university. Having my name and having my teammates' name and having just Sam Houston's name stamped to that is something that is remarkable. I mean, it's truly remarkable.
Okay, so after the championship games, what was the rest of your year like after that?
Awesome. It was great. That summer, couple of months after the national championship was awesome. You know, we came back that night, and I always think that this is neat, and a lot of people that any national champion probably doesn't get to experience this because the national championship isn't in their state. But we played in Frisco, so that night we bussed back to Huntsville, and so that night was awesome. I mean, it was incredible. Just the fans that were in the parking lot waiting for us when the bus came, unbelievable. That I think about that moment and still get chills. But then, you know, a couple of us got asked to represent Sam Houston at the Capitol, and we got to meet the governor, and I was in an Amazon Prime TV show, and just all these crazy things, and it was like, wow. And then when we finally came back to start getting ready for the next season, we had the national championship parade throughout Huntsville.
Yes.
That was awesome. And then it just kept piling on, and then you know, 3 months later, because it was unique that we won the national championship in May. Obviously, football isn't played in May, but we got our national championship rings in November. So then we had the ring ceremony.
There
so
you
just
go.
all these different things, and really that year was awesome.
Just like a big high overall.
It was awesome. I'm still high off of it. It was a year ago.
He's like, that's the story that I talk about every single time.
Oh yeah.
All right, and so what was your next the next season like for you?
It was different. We were obviously just coming off the national championship win, so our mindset was, you know, can we get back? Can we do it again? We were the number one team in the country coming in. We won 11 games that season. We were on a 22-game win streak, won 21 games in 2021, the most wins in a calendar year in the history of football. That's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that's you know, certainly, unless there's another, you know, world pandemic, that really can't happen again, because playing 2 seasons in 1 year was definitely unique. But you know, we played that game against Montana State, and obviously we lost. We weren't able to get back to the national championship. We really, you know, if I had to describe what happened in that one, I would say that we ran out of gas. We were just tired. Just 22 games in 1 year caught up with us. We didn't have the same pizzazz that we had. Just the energy that was there was kind of fake, and it wasn't our night. Montana State, great year. They go on to the national championship, lose to North Dakota State, who I mentioned earlier. Obviously, they're great, but it was tough. It was tough. Just kind of put the bow on that era of the Bearcats. It was tough, and that was my last college football game ever. So that's something that obviously I think about a lot.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan. That is out of time today, but yes, awesome, brilliant. You are watching the Huntsville Huddle today.